Alright, we're going to take apart a Culligan water softener so that we can get this thing to get out of backwash and bypass, basically. It's staying in bypass, which means we're going to have to clean it. So here is the system. Mind you, these cords don't go to it, and there's something stuck to that. Anyway, there's the system in and of itself. And we will talk about it in a minute. This one is sitting with the brine tank in front. I'm going to have to scoot the brine tank out so I can get to the mixed tank over there. Alright, I've moved the brine tank out so I can get to the main tank. We'll pull that tank out so we can take the top off so we can pull it apart and clean it. Alright, here we go. Alright, it looks like this one has two pins holding it together instead of screws in this particular brand. So here and here, you end up pulling these out. Like so. You want to make sure you've turned off the water, which is this valve here, so you're not spilling water on it, and we will pull it apart and I'll show you. Alright, so when this one comes apart, here you'll notice there's a notch right here. That notch takes the flow meter. That flow meter goes right over there. And it goes into this one. That gives you an idea where that is. It's pretty simple. Now, you got to make sure that this is completely off before you move this. Of course, the pins come out and it just comes apart. You can see that the pins here, I don't know if you can see that very well, but there it is. There's a space for that to sit in. We'll take this off of the tank next. We'll unscrew here and here, and then this will pop off. There is a line, a hose, whatever goes down to the middle of that. We'll be really careful, that middle one, that it doesn't come up with it. You don't want that to come out. There's gravel in here and you want that to sit in the gravel. So we'll work that out and I'll get back with you then. Alright, so the way this works is the screw unscrews enough to where you can then pop this out to the side and then you can pull it apart like so. Oh, dropped it off there because I've already got the other one that way too. But there's, so they're in halves, you see. Make sure those go back in there like that to where they don't fall out, but we'll get there. Alright, the next thing we're going to do, we have to remove the lines. So this is the line to the drain system here. We back up a little bit so you can see a little more. Drain system. We have to remove this line which goes to the brine pump. Unhook that, unhook this, get those off there so that I can pull this system off. Alright? Alright, so you can see on this, there is the seal. There's an outer seal and an inner seal. Here is the piece, the outer seal. The inner seal goes inside this hole. The outer seal goes out around this. We'll put some Vaseline on that when we're done, but that'll take care of it. Here we go. Alright, so this is a picture from underneath the controller and right by the tank. Keep in mind that if you're looking down on the tank, that controller has to be unscrewed counterclockwise to come out of there. When it gets to the end, you have to kind of pop it up a little bit to get it out of there, but it's not bad. Just wanted you to see that and be aware that this is counterclockwise to take it off and clockwise to go back down on when we get to that point. So, if I take off the cover here, it's got a couple little latches. Let's see if I can see those here. Just lift that up above like that. Get it to come off. There's some on the bottom like that. Take it off there. We'll go like that. So I've got it plugged in right now. I'll unplug it, plug it back in. You can see this valve move. Give me a second. Alright, so here's the valve moving. And we'll look at that in a minute and see how well that's connected. whether it's pulling the valve or not. Okay, so now that we've got it down to this point, we've tested the valve, we saw it move. Here, there's a screw here. Let's see if I can get to that point. Screw there. There's a screw over here. There's a screw over here. Is that right? Yeah, you go right in there. There. There you go. And then there is a screw that is way up in here, which you can't really see real easily. Behind this valve, we got to get these two big ones out first. So we take these screws out. They screw right into the plastic, it looks like. There might be a nut somewhere in the plastic, I don't know. Alright, we're going to pull this off. Now, I want you to see how this goes. This little slide has to be in there. And this little piece here fits on this valve. Now, if you were looking, the valve moves in and out, but it doesn't it doesn't move the plunger inside. The valve, this is moving and the plunger is not. I might have to replace that plunger. We're going to find out if we have to or not in a minute. So, take the two screws out. If I can get it out of there. Does this come out yet? Not yet. So I've got to get that other screw out of there somehow. It's got a little spot right there to put a screwdriver. Isn't that neat? Alright. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it fits right up in there. Huh. Anyway, that last screw, we undo. Not quite there yet. Close, but no cigar. Somebody actually thought about this when they put it together. That's awesome. Alright, so if I did this right, well, still got the screw there somehow. Got a little bit of water in this from when I opened it, when I pulled the valve off the top. But anyway. Alright, the screw is out. I gotta figure out how to get the unit out of here. Get the screw out first, I guess. Alright, the screw's over there. Alright, let's see if we can figure it out. Alright, so there's another piece of the valve here that you gotta get past. It's a different port of the valve. Alright, well, this is a good time and all, but... Alright, so I'm going to need a flathead to go in here. There we go. Come on, baby. Come out of there. I know you can't see what's going on, but this has to come up over this somehow. So let's see if I can get a picture of this for you. There's a piece right here that has to get out. Got a little water coming out, good times. You gotta get past that, you gotta get that to come out. And you gotta get that to come out. So everything's kind of in its own way. Ah, finally, okay. So this comes out, this little piece, I don't know if you can, yeah, this is a plunger right here. It rotates when it goes in, which is fine, and it goes through this. Then this has its own little piece on the back that holds everything in place. Just frustrating, actually. There it is, and there's a screen on it. You got to take the screen off. You got to clean the whole thing. Hope you can't see that. There you go. You got that piece comes out of that hole. We'll clean it up in a minute, but you got to get it out. Everything's got to work in a specific order, which is good times. We'll get to that. Crudgy. Alright, we'll be back in a second here. Alright, so with the electrical part off, we're on just the liquid part here, the mechanical part. We're going to have to get this out. There's a little retainer here that we got to pull in this particular kind. They're all a little different. But this one's got a neat little setup. So I've got to clean all this up and work through it. I'm not sure you guys want to see any of that, so you know, whatever. But basically we'll take that U off, and I've got to get this pushed through. It's got to come out that way. Got a little bit of water coming out with it, which is not unusual. Alright, we're still trying to get that out. We're going to take this off and see what's under here. If I remember right, this isn't part of what we need to worry about, but we'll check it anyway. There's a screen in here. A little screen, okay. And there's a screen holder in here. And I'm probably going to need a pair of pliers to get a hold of. Sorry, smack that around a little bit. Alright, I'm not sure if you can see this or not. Well, there's our focal point. Alright, so we can even go in a little closer, I guess. Turn toward it. I got some crud laying around this thing. So you get a hold of this with a pair of pliers, pull that out in the screen so you can see this. Here, I'll make it focus on that. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll go back here and make it focus on it. The screen goes right down the center so you can see how it's fitting in there. It slides down in there like that. That's how the screen sits, okay? Like that. Flush with the top. Anyway, we'll have to clean that up. It's got crud all over it. Clean it all up as we go. Alright. Alright, so I took that, here it is. The U-bolt came out of here. I then proceeded to pull out this cap. It's got a seal on it. We'll have to clean that up and work it. I'm going to grease it up a little bit and do all that. But that allowed me to get to the back of the valve. Right up in here. It's the back of the valve. Anyway, what I was doing was I stuck a screwdriver in here. I'm able to beat the valve out. You can see it coming out. Well, you can't see it, I guess, where you've got your view. Let's go like this a little bit so you can see a little more. So there's the valve at the top. Because the valve didn't want to move, it's probably my biggest part of my problem. This valve, I don't know if you can see it or not, but these little pieces in here are moving, and that's the way they're supposed to move. That wasn't moving. Look at the black. I mean, this thing is just filthy. I'm going to have to clean this up. I'll get the paper towels running, clean it up real good, and once I get it cleaned up, then I'll grease everything and we'll try it again. But right now, I'm going to end up taking these. These all unscrew. And I'm probably going to have to get a pair of pliers to pull them, but each little piece unscrews so you can take the system apart. I need to get this cleaned up. Alright. Alright, so you can see I've started cleaning this up. It's a mess. But these, when you can get them to unscrew, and when they do, you're taking a section off. It's got a valve on the inside, or a seal on the inside, and it's got a seal on the outside. So it's trying to keep the water from going where it's not supposed to. I'll have to clean all of these seals and see if any of them. This one's a little bit messy. Let's see if I can put it right there and see if you can see it right there. Anyway, I'll get it cleaned up and find out how it's going to be, and I'll show you. Alright. Alright, I don't know if you can see this or not. I'm trying to get a good angle on it for you, but right here it's just chewed up. The seals are chewed up on all of these, which tells me I'm either going to have to get new seals or I'm going to have to get a whole new valve. It'll depend on how much that costs for what I order. You know, no point in buying. If the seals cost me more than the whole valve together, then why wouldn't I just buy the valve? Anyway, the point is I got to get a new one. This is all messed up, and we're gonna have to figure it out. Thanks, guys. Alright, so I made a realization while I was looking for parts. Remember me showing you this little piece here that was sticking out? Well, that is broken. I didn't realize it was broken, but it is. This is supposed to be this long. There's the rest of it. See that? Here's see if I can get it to focus down here. There we go. So, this was like this. Anyway, it goes on there like so. It's this little piece here, right? It's supposed to go on there, that's fine. No big deal. But I found it inside this piece. Down in there, it was broken off. Probably the bulk of my problem, but I'm going to replace the valve too. So I'll replace this whole piece. And I'll replace this. And of course I'll replace this. So I'm going to have to work on getting that ordered. I'll get part numbers as I can find them. If I can get them, I'll put them up here. Thanks. Alright, while I'm waiting on parts, I'm going to go ahead and put this back together. I've cleaned it up. I've cleaned the fit of the screen. And then I'm going to put this down in here, like so. Oh, before I do that, I'm going to put a little, knock that around. Just a little bit of Vaseline on here. On my seals, to make sure my seals stay hydrated. Ha ha ha. Get those on there. We'll stick that in the hole, pop it down in there. The part is the, what did I do with it? Here it is. The actual cover for it. I'm going to seal that too. I'll put a little Vaseline on that, just to be sure that that's got a great seal. I don't want water getting out. And when I get more parts, magic of television, it'll just happen, right? But it won't happen in real life like that. So I'll get that screwed back on here in a second. Not real tough, you know, put 3 screws in it. You guys can figure that out. But that will be all I'll get done until I get the rest of the parts. So I'll let you know what part number and all I order. But it seems like we're all set. Alright guys, one of the things I want to point out, since you've got a seal around here, I don't have any of these tight, they're all just hand tight. Start tightening them up as I go, a little more each way. You want to make sure that you don't tighten one individually too tight before you get the rest of them close, because you want that seal to be as even as possible. Okay? So you got that. That's what she looks like when it's done. Alright, so here's the old pieces and parts that we had. We have the actual valve here, and we've got the little part for the plunger to go down into. We've got the new kit because, you know, doing everything any other way, the actual number is this right here, which is C as in Charlie, U as in uniform, G as in golf, 01016267. That's the one I ordered. So we're going to open that up, we're going to compare it, make sure everything looks right, and then we'll go from there. Alright, knife. Okay. There's my 3 parts. For sure need this and that. This didn't look so bad, but it doesn't hurt to put a new one in. Isn't that cute? Alright. Let's see what we got going on here. This is the same size if you hadn't seen it. This one doesn't want to move either. So I'm going to have to lube up everything to make sure this one works, because this one already has problems, and we had problems in here. I don't know if you could see that or that. Problems in there. So the old one we're going to set off to the side. The new one looks like it's the right one, at least. We will get my little screwdriver, we're going to put it in between here and pop that off like that. That's my first one. I'll lube that as I go. They've got some kind of a lube in there. I need a second one to stick in here. So I got a counter torque. There we go. Taking the O-ring right off of it. That's nice. We'll lube in there. I'll lube this up just to make sure it's good. Pieces are laying like that together so I know how they go. Of course, I can't get this one off because the valve's in it. I might be able to get it off if I do that. Get a hold. Valve, there we go, the valve will come out. That'll work. And so does the O-ring at the bottom one. That's alright, that's not bad. That's a pretty heavy little tool, isn't it? The valve, or the plunger is actually steel. That's awesome. Sure we lube that thing. Okay, loosen them up one by one, I guess. There we go. Lift my screw tip in there. Get out of there. There you go. Alright. Get those off like that. Take those out. Put these. Take that apart. Take that apart. Goes like this. Like this. Of course, like that. Alright. So it does have some lube in it, but it's not that great. Alright. So, I'll get a little Vaseline. And lube up my parts to try to make sure everything's good and smooth in here. We'll see how that goes in a minute. Okay, got some in that one. Rubber, some rubber pieces. verify that that's working. Just check, make sure the cameras are good still. That one's doing alright, and that one's doing good. Yep, alright. Alright. Gasoline in there. Put that one together like so. Some on here. Go into the plunger. Put a little on the plunger to make sure it's going to be good and slick. Slide in there the way we want it to. Okay. Here I am just humming away. That's the way I do things sometimes. Okay. Alright. Get this stuff put on. Make sure that you can all see it. Put it on there, get these put together like so. Getting there quickly. Seems like it, but it's not. In the magic of television, maybe I can speed this up a little bit. But right now, apparently didn't get those two apart. Don't necessarily have to. I can get my finger down in there. A little easier from this angle. Okay. Let's go together. Last one. The objective here is to be able to slide this back and forth, see. There it is. Alright, got a little bit of motion in it now. It works a little bit. Maybe that'll be easier to put together. We'll see. Add a little bit more onto the shaft here. Alright, so that part's done. I'm going to go ahead and lube up the oil O-rings on these. Should slide in and out of that pretty easily now. Oh yeah, that's much better. Alright. That's good. So we've got all of the parts ready to go now. Wipe my hands off. Magic of television. See all that fun you guys didn't have to go through? Waiting a couple days to get your parts in. Clean that off later, won't I? Alright, so now we need to get the valve out. There is the main body of the valve. Right? Excuse me. So what has to happen here? Well, this is just the valve body. This is nothing, there's not really much to this. So this is no big deal. It does need some cleaning down in there apparently. Okay. Put a little bit of grease down in here, just make it easy to get this down in. It should go like that. See how that slide right in there? That's pretty good. Alright. Well, we've got the valve part in. Alright. So now we've got the valve controller, right? This piece here has a spring in it that wasn't going to have to take off, but to change out this part, we're going to have to. So this way here, you can see I'm put a flathead screwdriver in between here. I'm going to pop that out like that. This happens to be magnetic, so it caught it for me. And can't pull it off because of this, but this has a Phillips head, real simple setup to make sure the pins go in the right place, the connectors work. Okay, so I take this screw out. You see that screw? There you go. That screw comes out once I get it out. Alright, and then this comes off completely. See how that is, and the screw just lays here. So we'll take it, move it out of the way for just a short period. And we'll take this, and I need to get under it so I can lift it. Notice how that's sitting? It also has to sit. See, there's pins here for this pin. There's a hole there. Opening right there. For this, there's a pin right here for this pin. And this has to slide on here. But where does it slide in this? Does it slide in the outer groove? I would imagine it does. It does. Look at that. That's awesome. It just slides in this groove as this rotates and goes around the edge. Well, that's pretty easy. So there it is. Pieces. So now I'm going to replace it. Has to come through here. Has to sit in that so it can slide up and down that way. Okay. This goes in. This goes into that hole, so now it's ready to go up and down. Alright. Then we got to get the little C-clamp back in there. C-shape, whatever it's called. Don't know if I know the answer to that. But anyway, I'll take my little forceps here. I'm going to grab a hold of it like so I don't lose it. Put it down in there. And we'll take that screwdriver and get behind it. Oh, let me flatten that. Use the flathead into that screwdriver. Alright, flathead side, get a hold, kind of squeeze, get my finger out of there, boom, right back into place. Make sure it's in, we're good. Now we just got to be careful when we go to put this back together that this doesn't fail. Don't want to break it again, right? I don't know if I broke it the last time, but I definitely wasn't happy about it. Then, this will go into the valve body once we get that into here. So we lay this, but first, before we get there, we got to go back to here and get this piece in so that the switches are operating right. Got to go back to my screwdriver and change it over to a Phillips. That's a pretty nifty little easy way to keep that centered. Go to the bigger Phillips. Sure that's good and hand tight, you know. Phillips screwdriver tight, I guess. Alright, so now that we have that, remember how this goes? Any of this? How does it go? So this, if you remember, we have a plate that sits here. Sit that in there like that, trying to keep that safe. Here's my plate. Now my plate is all filthy and it needs to be oiled or greased a little bit. I'm going to clean some of this out. Just going to use a regular flathead. This is just hard water stuff is all this is. Okay. Just going to scrape it. See how it just comes right off. So give me just a second and I'll scrape this off on the outside here. Alright, so I've got that mostly cleaned out. There it is. Get the rough stuff off there anyway. And then this goes back in there like that. Well, I'm gonna put some little bit of lube on the end, on the sides here. That'll help some. Alright, so get some lube on here. Like so. Slide that into the groove so that it slides real nice. There we go. Okay. Now, this has to go in upside down like this. This groove is where this pin goes. I'll put a little lube on that too while I'm at it. And that will sit right like that, right? It seems like I'm missing something. There it goes, in the right hole. Alright, in the hole, here it sits. Now, we're going to flip it over. It is what it is. This goes to the bottom. This goes to the top. So, I'll set this off to the side here for a second. Alright, like that. Trying to keep this safe. Take this, the valve that we have, right? Take the screws that we have in it, pull those out for starters, because we're going to have to put those back in a minute, but that's okay. And this little screw up here. Back side of this, you have to get that valve in there, but you also got to get this little piece right here has to get up in here. See how that is? It's got to go up under there. Goes like that. Okay. Now that it's in there like that, now we need to take this piece right here, this piece, the new one. Get these. Sorry, you can't see this at all, can you? Get this lubed up on these. Well, we'll stick that down in there. It goes like that. That's what it's supposed to look like. I'm going to grab this whole thing. I'm going to hold it sandwiched together. Alright, hang on there. Get all excited. Going to go together like that. That all slides in there. Haha! This is one of our problems, see? That valve needs to be up here so that I can get it in the hook. So I've got to get that up there. So that doesn't do me any good sitting there like that. You gotta be careful with this piece again. Easy to break off if you're not careful. But slide that over here. Get a hold of this. Pull, baby, pull. Alright, that's probably far enough up. Got this up here kind of high, so that maybe I can get it to work. Get that up there, put that in the hole, put that there. We can probably stick this on here and on there. So it's got to come up just a little more. There we go. And then see, got that in there, so it's all in play. I can take this then, slide it over it, and then I can start bolting stuff down. Yay! So exciting. Alright, gotta go back to a Phillips head on this. Screwdriver. Have that. Take these big screws. Might have to grab them with forceps so I can get them in there easier. And there we lose one back inside, you know. Easier way to do this probably would be to leave that off. Get the screw down in there and get it started. Probably even leave that off. There we go. Get that one in. Get that one in. So they're in the holes now. Go back, put this back together. Make sure this ends up on top of the valve. I don't know if you can see that right there. Yep, in there like that. Grab a hold of this. Make sure it slides in. See, I've already lost a screw. Need to get a couple threads on it before you get there, apparently. That's okay, we can get there. Alright. Screw that one down a couple threads. Screw that one down a couple threads, that way they're not going to come out again. That. Slide on to you. Scoot this down. That one might be a little too tight. There it goes. Now I might have to get a long screwdriver out. Here we go. Long screwdriver out to get that in down in there. Oops. Smack the camera around. Okay. Based on that, I should be able to get this last screw in. Let's see if I can get the last screw in or not. There's one little screw up in there. You see it right there? There it is, back in there. There's a little groove that allows you to put a screwdriver in it, which blows my mind that they worked at. But cool. Tighten that screw down in there. And you can see that screw down in there now tight. These screws here and there are tight. Got everything back together. Now, what I'm going to do, since it's acting a little whopper-jawed for space here, I'm going to set something under that so it doesn't want to fall over. And see if we can get this to run. hopefully you can watch that valve right there spin, the motor spin, so the valve can work. It should start. There it goes. And it rotates like it's supposed to. That's what I wanted to see. Alright, so my valve, we should be able to now. Not sure what that was. Something fell over there. Now, if we look in here, there you go, you can kind of see it right there. If I disconnect that, plug it back in, you can actually watch the valve move. See it moving back in there? Look at that. That's awesome. Alright, that shows me that everything's operating now. So, the only other thing I'm going to do before I take it in the house is right here on this side. We've got the two holes. One of those holes is designed for, where you at? Right there you are. This, the flow control, flow meter. So I'm going to clean this flow meter up real quick. Wipe it down. Put a new little bit of Vaseline on it. You notice the arrow, it's going to end up going like this. Alright, there it is. I think it sits like that. Alright, so I've had a towel over this for the length of time that I was waiting on parts. I've made sure this is all cleaned up and ready to go. The pins are still in it so that I know where they are. I'm going to first put this on here. It's going to have to screw on clockwise from above. And once I get that on there, we'll put the clamps on. You can see what's going on. Before I put that top on, there's a seal right here. I'm gonna get some on there. Make sure that seal's good. Alright, let's see if we can get this on here. You notice I've got it in. I got it sitting here. Hang on. There we go. Goes into the center, like so, and then I'm going to start turning this whole device. And mind you, I've got to keep the cord up here so it doesn't get tangled in. The whole device has to turn like that. It has to turn like that. Keep turning. Got to push it down in there. Alright. Notice the front piece just popped off. It's just clipped on there, so we'll have to fix that. But we got to keep turning it till it's flat, flush, so that everything's sealed up. I'll have to put a little bit of I'll set this up here. I'm gonna have to put a little bit of Vaseline down in there, make sure the seal's good. Okay, we got to go a couple more turns to make sure that it's flush on there. Oh, almost there. Push it just a little bit tighter. So now we've got it on here. These clamps have to go on. Don't forget about those. Gotta get the other half of the clamp here. It's pushed up in there. So then you got this. The screw scoops over there, over here. Gets together and the screw slides like that together. Then we'll have to tighten down the screw on both sides. And then we have to mate everything together. I know that's not a lot of light. That's marvelous in here. It's so dark, and it's always a small little place that they put these things, but we'll get her in there. We'll get her plugged in here in a second. Clamps on good and tight. Got it down in here like that. There you go. And I gotta remember that we've also got this valve that is the flow valve that's on here. That's what this line's going to. It's not a line, it's an electrical cord. So they can read the flow. That flow is going to go into that hole. There's the flow coming into the unit. It's the other valve, or it's not a valve, it's just like a little venturi that's in there. We're gonna push this up and mount it. You won't be able to see that because it's a pain in the butt to do with two hands. All right, so I'm gonna take these two pins out. We're gonna scoot this into place. Get the valves or the openings in here. I'm actually gonna, this because of the way this is made, I can kind of scoot this in and pull that at the same time. And there it is. All I gotta do is put the pins in now. Make sure they line up. There we go. Just like that. And we're put together. And now I just gotta put this line here and the line off of the salt tank, and we'll get those put together here in a minute. All right, so here we are. Brine tank here going in. Here's the drain line all hooked up. Everything's back in. Now I can actually turn the water on like so. And we start watching for leaks. And then I'll plug in the electrical so that that's turned on. And we'll let it do its thing. All right. Well, like and subscribe, guys. Learn how to do things. All right, so it's turned on, plugged in, thinking about running water through it. Just checking everything out. It's awesome. All right, very good. Like, subscribe, hit the bell so you don't miss anything.